Good morning and welcome to Spirit, the stimulating program initiative for retirees that inspires thought. I'm Judy Steinig, Rebbitzin of the Young Israel of Bayside in Queens, New York, and Associate Director, Community Services of the Orthodox Union. It is a pleasure to see all of you here today, many of whom attended our previous program on Tuesday. These programs are sponsored by the Orthodox Union, Congregation Torah Or, and Stage.org. We are proud to offer them these programs in Florida, acknowledging that as people retire, they are looking to nourish their souls and keep themselves energized. That is the goal of the Spirit program, which was so successful in its premiere in Teaneck, New Jersey in the fall, most recently in Boynton Beach, and just 2 days ago here in Boca. We are sure that you will find the sessions today to be interesting, insightful, and meaningful. The Orthodox Union is pleased to partner with Congregation Torah Or and Stage in this venture. We are very appreciative to Rabbi Benjamin Yazger, President Martin Levine, Sisterhood President Lee Greenberg, the board, and the board of the Shul and Sisterhood for hosting this program. Our first speaker is Rabbi Edward Davis, Mara Dasra of the Young Israel Hollywood Fort Lauderdale. Rabbi Davis is a lecturer par excellence who has taught many subjects in numerous venues. A leader in the area of kashrut, Rabbi Davis worked with the Orthodox Union and founded the ORB, Orthodox Rabbinical Board of Broward and Palm Beach counties. I had the recent pleasure to spend Shabbos with Rabbi and Rebbitzin Davis prior to the South Florida Rebbitzin Convention that she and I coordinated this past Sunday. We are truly honored that Rabbi Davis has made time in his extremely busy schedule to speak to us today on memory perspectives in the Torah. Thank you so much.
You should have a handout, so you don't have to refer to it just yet. Memory issues abound. All of us have them. It's not a matter of age. I want to say it really is not. I'm sure that you can remember back when you were a kid and your mother or father yelled at you at one point or another and said to you, "You forget your head if it wasn't attacked." You're already, you were told to, right? First, a joke. There were 3 elderly sisters that lived together, all 3 in their 90s. So the oldest one, Clarissa, she went upstairs to take a bath. And she drew the water, and she put one foot in the bathtub, and then all of a sudden she says, "I don't remember whether I'm going into the bath." So she calls down to her sister, Barbara. So Barbara, can you help me out? I'm in limbo here. So Barbara says, "Yeah, I'm coming, I'll help you out." So she goes up the stairs. And halfway up the stairs, she pauses. And she looks down to the younger sister, to Brenda, and says, "Brenda, you know, I don't remember if I'm going up the stairs or if I'm coming down the stairs." So Brenda says, "You know, I hear you both. I'll help you both, because thank God I don't have that problem. I'll be up in a second as soon as I find out who's knocking on the front door." I am sure that more recently, an experience that we do associate with age, but it's not, is you get up from your chair, you go to the next room to get something. Oh man, you're way ahead of me. You know how many heads are going like that. And you get to the next room and you can't remember what you went into. You should know it happens all ages. Teenagers have the same thing. Us probably worse than any other generation. And I mean the time of the 21st century, because we're multitasking. We're in the midst of doing so many other things between the phone and maybe what's in the oven and all the other things that are going on at the same time, that it happens. So you know what they say, psychologists write big Kiddush, and by the way, it does work. When you stand up from your chair, say out loud, "I'm going to the next room to get a pair of scissors. If you say it out loud, chances are better that you're going to remember when you get to the next room. Now, I realize that that's from a professional. People who deal, psychologists who deal with memory issues. But I'm going to try to show you that Chazal also had all the things, the tricks of the trade, mnemonic devices. Come in a not too distant future, we're going to sit down for the Seder. And at the beginning of the Seder, you start Kadeh Shorchat Karpasya. You know something? That's not part of the Seder. There's no halacha that says you gotta recite Kadeh Shorchat Karpasya. There is no such thing. And in fact, had not some printer put it in the beginning of the Haggadah, you wouldn't have it. You wouldn't even have it. There are 15 steps to the Seder. In order to remember them, they devised a sing-song of Kadeh Shorchat. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's just a memory device to know that's what you're doing. And then they do it to a song. Now the business of the song, this is no, it's not a niggin. It's not part of nusach. It's nothing of the sort. It's a sing-song of learning. Learning has a sing-song. The reason they developed a sing-song was to help us remember. So Kadeh Shorchat, and to sing it, is a memory device that you should know how to proceed in the order it's supposed to be done and to get it done. Now you take a look at the first item on your sheet. It's the last page of the Gemara in Megillah. Amar Rav Shvatya, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Kol hakorei v'lo ni'ima. If you're reading the Torah, and anybody who reads the Torah without the truf, without singing it properly, v'shoneh v'lo zimra, or he learns without singing the learning, Allah b'katuv omer, v'gam ani natati lehem chukim lo tovim. About that person, we attach the verse that I give you laws that aren't good, because you won't remember them. Now, is it really all that essential that when I learn, I have to sing my learning? You did, again, when we grew up, unlike our grandchildren, when we grew up, you learned how to do Manishtana, Mikol Halela. Now they come in, Manishtana, oh my God. Then you should be blessed with a lot of grandchildren. But when all of them get up and do it, why can't they do it a little quicker? Now, we have a rule in our Seder, we have plenty of grandchildren. We have a rule that all divrei Torah are better when accompanying chicken soup. In other words, while we're going through the Seder, no divrei Torah now. We're going to get through the Seder, and when we start eating, give it your best shot. Want to hear all the divrei Torah. Because it gets late, and now we're starting late. It really is late. Okay, take a look at the Tosfot. Hashoneh below Zimra. Shahayu regilim l'shanot hamishnayot b'Zimra. When they learn Mishnah, they learn it with a sing-song. Lefi shahayu shonin ota al peh, because they were learned by heart. By virtue of doing it in this fashion, it was easier to remember what you were learning. That's the reason we all did. You weren't reading it when it was. It's a learning niggin. That's all it is, a learning niggin. Which is the same thing that you learn Arba was the Zikir, whatever Mishnah you learn, whatever how the Torah was introduced to you. It was a learning nigga. You were learning the trump. It was done to music and done out loud so you can remember it. These are memory devices. I remember as a little kid that we were being introduced to the subject of arithmetic in elementary school. Now, I don't know how old I was, but very young. And the teacher wanted to teach us how to remember to spell arithmetic. So she taught us a rat in the house may eat the ice cream. Because the Rosh table, right? The first letter of every word spells arithmetic. A rat in the house may eat the ice cream. Not only did I remember how to spell arithmetic, but here we are 55 years later, I still remember the mnemonic device. That's how effective that is. And we have mnemonic devices galore. So it was done through music, it was done through mnemonic devices, the Tzach Hadash V'achav, like going back to the Haggadah, how do you remember the 10 plagues of Egypt? It was a mnemonic device. So by the way, I've been collecting mnemonic. We're going to Israel Yetz Hashem on Monday. So I like to do what I have. We have our 4 children, various spouses, and 10 grandchildren in Israel. So we get them all together for Shabbos, and I like to develop little quizzes or games at the Shabbos table. So I've been working in my head at least on mnemonic devices to give them and tell them, okay, what is the Rosh table? What does it mean? So what is barzel? So barzel is iron, right? But it's a mnemonic device. It's Bilha Rachel, Zilpa Leil. So not only do you remember the 4 wives of Yaakov, but you remember which handmaid went to which daughter, which sister. So Bilha goes to Rachel, Zilpa goes to Leah. It's a mnemonic device, but it stays with you. My kids, 2 of them live in Chashmonaim by Shilat. And there's the Hammers know where it is. I know there's Shilat is a place. Shilat is not a thing. Shilat is Rosh Teva. It's Shiviti Hashem L'Negdi Tamid. But I don't expect them to know what it is. But that's the origin of the name Shilat. And I'm sure no one who lives there knows that that's what the meaning of Shilat actually is. But these were all kinds of mnemonic devices that are in the Gemara, that are in Medrash. Chazal have them, and in post Chazal, of course, we deal with it, because that's how you learn, and that's how you remembered your learning. These devices are there, and they're actually quite adorable, many of them, and, believe it or not, quite effective. Quite effective. You know, the Rambam in Moreh Nevuchim, he mentions a list of the function of the neshama. Now we know the function of the guf. The body has definite physical components. There are the senses, the ability, mobility, hearing, vision, all these are guf oriented. But he goes through what's the neshama doing? What's the job of our soul? And he lists creativity, imagination, memory. The Rambam says that the soul, part of each of us have a neshama, part of that work of the neshama, and of course, we're totally familiar with the importance of remembering. We're going to have one coming up soon in Parshat Zohar, that you have to remember what Amalek did. Of course, there are several psukim in the Torah, and in some of the Siddurim, have a list of the things you're daily required to remember. Yetziat Mitzrayim, what happened to Miriam. There's many Yisudurim. Right after Shachri gives you a list of the changes he wrote of the 6 things you're supposed to remember. So I know it. Memory has a very important part of your identity is incorporated within this function of remembering things. By the way, the Vilna Gaon in Mishlei, he talks about, okay, I understand what memory is for. What is shichacha for? Why do I have the power of forgetting? I mean, let's face it, memory is a good thing. Why does God instill within us the ability to forget? You want to hear the Vilna Gaon, in Mishlei, he says, sometimes it's very important to be able to forget what happened in order to get on with life. Sometimes it's really the ability that the brain has to bury something is very fortunate that we can put it aside and not be overwhelmed by a certain memory. I mean, I think of Holocaust survivors in particular who must have that ability to forget, to move on. But I like when the Vilna Gaon mentions about certain sickness. Look, you come down, unfortunately we all gone through it, a 24-hour stomach bug, and you're throwing up. In fact, you're spending more time in the bathroom, different parts of your anatomy are working overtime, and you feel terrible. Just the mention of the word food sends you back to the bed. You are that devastated by this bug. 24 hours go by, you make it rapid, refuah, to the point that that which made you nauseous is gone, and your ability to forget it completely is manifested by the fact that you're so ravenous, you're shoving it down. I used to have a philosophy professor at Yeshiva University who used to say, part of us have an Esav mentality. What's an Esav mentality? When he's famished, he comes in off the field and he tells Yaakov, Haliteni na minata, pour it in, Jake, pour it in. I mean, you're famished, you can't get enough. What happened to the fact that you were just throwing up? Gone. Memory, gone. Your ability to forget is important in order that you recover and you keep going. So the Vilna Gaon in Mishlei has this aspect of sometimes God gives us the ability to forget, and it's extremely essential that you have that ability. When our family used to go on vacation when the kids were younger, and we used to go up north, go in a van, and we'd spend Shabbos together with other members of the family. And usually I'm not home for Shal Shudas. Usually I'm in Shul for Sudash Lishi. But on vacation it was an opportunity to be together for Sudash Lishi. So he used to sing Smirot, and he used to sing some of the songs that I grew up with that are no longer in vogue. So the kids had to suffer a little bit. Too bad. But I used to play a memory game with them. And I used to go around the room, and it's an Aleph bet. You have Aleph. Give me a name of any person in Tanakh that starts with the letter Aleph. Adam. Madam, you now have bet. But in order for you to give me bet, you have to say from Aleph. You have to remember what was said before. Okay, so now you're going to give one, and you have to start with Adam. You have to. So you can imagine if you're down to Kufa rate, you have to start from the beginning. Adam, and you know something? The kids loved it. But you know how you remember? You look at the person. The person became a memory device so that I know, I look at this man, Adam. Look, you know something? I could meet you next month. You're not wearing a tag. I don't know who you are, but I'll remember that your name is Adam. So, because there's an association. You talk to these memory whiz people, professionals, and they'll tell you a concept of a memory palace. What a memory palace is they envision a building, and you go through different rooms of the building. And in each room, you remember something else. And that's how they memorize things, is by association with, in this case, a place. In this case, a person, right? That's how you develop and you keep working at memory. Socrates once said that writing things down is a terrible thing. He says writing things down will tarnish and retard your ability to remember things. How do we know, by the way, that Socrates said this? Because someone wrote it down. That someone being Plato wrote it down. That's how we know that Socrates said it. But I'll tell you, professionals will tell you, I read this in AARP, right? They tell you that as we are in the senior bracket, you need to always stimulate your brain. And what AARP says, don't always use your speed dial on your phone. Dial certain, at least some of them, by memory, because you have to exercise your brain. You don't exercise your brain like any other part of your body, it ain't gonna work as good as it should. So they'll tell you, don't try to do things by memory also. So that's what Socrates was getting at too. You gotta learn to remember, don't always write it down. I know that we are flushed. I mean, I have an iPhone, it's amazing to have a smartphone that's smarter than you are. And it's a little, this little gadget, it's an amazing device because I have all of Shas on here. All of Rambam, your Siddur, everything is on this one little phone. It's amazing. I'll go to the bank and I'll wait in line and I'll learn a Mishnah. Not because I'm in the mood to learn a Mishnah when I'm standing in line. It's just I think it's the coolest thing to do. While standing in line. But it's amazing. At home, I don't do the reminders and the notes as you can do on these gadgets. I still writing down on a piece of paper. And it's gotten so bad that I now have lists of where my other lists are. Because that's how bad, and that's why I'm going back to the multitasking that we do. We got too many things going on, and that clutters us and clutters our ability. I'm a big fan of a comic strip known as Far Side. Far Side is no longer writing it. Probably living in Century Village somewhere. No. And but one Far Side comic was a boy in the classroom, and he's raising his hand, and he says, "Teacher, stop! My brain is full," which I enjoyed because why? You don't know the capacity that your brain has. It's enormous. You think a computer has, they keep telling me megabytes. And I don't know what a megabyte is if I stepped on it. But it's true. It's true. There's enormous capacity. And your brain and memory cells, enormous. In a Seder Harav of Chaim Halevi, he used to be the Sephardi chief rabbi of Tel Aviv. He wrote Tshuvas of Seder Harav. And he writes, people ask him, what happens after you pass away and you're going in front of a Kadosh Baruch Hu? And I love those type of questions because what? This rabbi is going to answer because he got an email from somebody. How does he know? Anyway, He said you go up, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will greet you, and they play a video in your head of everything that happened in your life. And it's an interesting image, because what he basically is saying, that it's still there. It's in your brain. All the images, everything that occurred in your entire life is there. And it's only then that you might comprehend all the things that occurred in your lifetime. And that's where you're going to get a lot of the answers to what's happened to you. You know, in other words, my take-home point from reading that little bit in Masechet Harav is, don't ask too many questions about what occurs here, because we don't have answers. Which is the Chametz Chaim on Torah, when the brothers came to Egypt, and the viceroys accusing them of left and right and all the things they've done terribly wrong, and they're spies, and they're this, and how do I know you're telling the truth that there's a brother back there? I want you to get the brother back. And they're trying to figure out, what's going on? What happened? Why did this happen? What do we do wrong that we're being accused constantly here from this viceroy? Finally, in Parshat Mikdash, the crescendo reaches a point, and the viceroy says, "Ani Yosef." Chavetz Chaim writes, as soon as the viceroy said, "Ani Yosef," everything was now, they understood. Everything was clear. Chavetz Chaim writes, when you get up there and you hear a voice, "Ani Hashem," then all of a sudden, when you hear that voice, everything that occurred here will become understandable to us. And it's a nice image. And again, is there definitive answers as to what's going to be at that point? I don't know. I really don't. But I find that it's effective. And they're also using this image of the brain being able to recall a lot of the things that have been stored in memory that are not retrievable so easily. You know, when you think of hypnosis and everything else, that the devices that are being used today in many areas of psychology and psychiatry, it's all based on the fact that your brain has the ability to store memory, and it's been pushed aside or depressed into whatever regions that are not easily summoned. And so sometimes in our life we need the ability to gain that strength in order to summon something that's been back there in a long time. So I don't know how it always works, but it's true. I know that the little time that I spend exercising, I know, dear, I should do more.
Having a memory problem, remembering when you exercise.
That's right. Absolutely. I should do more. But it's interesting because when I do, when I ever clear off the treadmill and get back on it. And so when what do you do when you're on a treadmill? What do you do when you're exercising? You think. If you have in your mind, your mind is moving in many, many different ways. And it's so difficult, by the way, to control it. I remember I had to have an MRI of my head. 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and it was unpleasant. I had to psych myself out to undergo this procedure. But your brain moves, I mean, 1,000 miles a second. Your brain is moving, but you're not able to do anything. So I remember when I was in this machine, and what am I thinking of? Everything from the starting lineup for the Boston Red Sox in the World Series to what I just learned that week in Gemara, the sugya, or a certain Rashi that bothers me in Chumash, to, everything else in terms of what I have to take to Israel with us, anything, but it's so many things in 40 minutes, from bizarre, from left field and right field, because you're allowing your brain to let loose. And it's very hard to, be control of your thoughts. Very hard to do. The Vilna Gaon would say it's possible to control it. Your discipline goes to your thoughts as well. Not everybody, we know it's not easy. The Vilna Gaon maybe, but certainly us, forget it. It's hard to focus. You're davening. Are you able to focus? I mean, look, let's say a weekday davening, not the marathon davening of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, or even the mini marathon of a Shabbos morning. But let's say the day, this morning, it's a 45-minute davening. Are you able to concentrate fully for 45 minutes? Don't answer the question. I know it's impossible. They came, some journalist, not from, approached the Kutzker Rebbe. Kutzker Rebbe is, in my book, the sharpest of all the Hasidic Rebbe. Said, with such chutzpah, he came over to Kutzker Rebbe and he said, "What makes you so great?" Without batting an eyelash, the Kutzker Rebbe answered him and said, "I know exactly what makes me great. I can concentrate on one thing for a whole minute." You understand what he was saying about us? It is so hard to focus on one thing. We have a mitzvah of tzitzit. I firmly believe that in the secular world, when it says, tie a string around your finger, you'll remember, what's this bit of tie a string around your finger? In the morning, when I daven Shema, I hold the tzitzis, and that's tying a string around my finger. It's a device. And when I get to the last paragraph of Shema, I am much more focused on Shema because it's tzitzis. Right, absolutely. So it's a device. It's a device. By the way, if you want to know, I think women are better, but maybe they don't need tzitzis as much as men do. But anyway, I really think that it's a device that Hashem has put into the system in order to be able to help us in order to get there. When you're doing something physical, whether it be swimming, doing whatever, you should use that time to clear your brain and focus on things that you should try to remember more. Things that will slow you down, impede your ability to remember: stress, depression. There are so many factors that give us negative emotions that make our ability to remember not as good, not as acute. So you realize that we're a complicated entity, and the complexity is there. I want to take a look at the other paragraph on your sheet. This is a non-halachic Gemara in Horayot. Tan Rabbanan, Chamisha Dvarim Meshachim et Halimud. 5 things will make you forget your studies. Ha'ochel mima she'ochel achbar u'mima she'ochel chatul. One is that if you're eating something for which a mouse or a cat is eating. Again, not exactly germane, hopefully, what you have in your apartments here aren't with that entity. Ochel leiv shel behema, eating the heart of a beast. Haragil bezeitim, eating frequently olives. Hashotem mayim, wait, don't jump ahead of me.
That's my problem.
Don't jump ahead of me. Hashotem mayim shel shiurei rechitza. I mean, to drink of water that was used for washing. Okay, I'm assuming that used for washing means was designated for washing, and you're not really drinking it after the person washed it. Mayim shel shiurei rechitza. Hagochet raglav zo al gabe zo. Washing your feet when they're situated one on top of the other. You know, it's very reminiscent to the way the Kohanim would wash their hands and feet in the Beit HaMikdash. Required some dexterity. If you they put your clothes and use it as a pillow, put it under your head. These 5 things will restore your learning. So I just told you 5 things will help you forget. Here's 5 things will help you remember what you're forgetting. Pat mechamim, wheat and bread. The Polsha came mechamim atzva, and more so the wheat itself. Ha'ochel beitza megugelet below melach, eating a roasted egg without salt. Haragil b'shemen zayit, drinking frequently of olive oil. Haragil b'yayin uvasamim, drinking frequently wine and spices. Hashotem mayim mishal shiorei isa, drinking of the water that remained after you kneaded the dough. Yesh omrim afatovel es ba'oba melach, dipping one's finger in salt, the ha'ochel, and then eating it from your finger. Now, this is not halachic. None of this is brought down in any halacha whatsoever. And you might try to say, well, what are they getting at? Did our rabbis of the Talmudic period do some investigative study of some sort that they came to these items? The last part of this piece of Gemara gives us an insight of what's going on. Haragil b'shemen zayit, drink a lot of olive oil. L'sayeh lei the Rabbi Yochanan. Dama Rabbi Yochanan. Kishem sha'azayit nishakeach mimud shel shemim shana. Just as eating olives will cause you to forget what you've been learning for 70 years. Kach shemen zayit meishiv limud shel shemim shana. The olive oil will bring it back. What's going on? So if you take a look at some of the historical notation of life in the Mishnaic period. A couple of years ago, I was for now for about 4 years, I've been doing something out of the box in my own shul with a thematic Shabbos and a dinner that makes the food. The first one I did was a colonial American Friday night dinner, where every item on the menu came from colonial America. So the first item was a recipe I found in Thomas Jefferson's cookbook. It was for fried fish, Jewish fashion. Right? It's in his cookbook. And we made that for the first course. Second course was chicken soup and with matzo balls. Matzo ball recipe, year 1800, Charleston, South Carolina. So every item came from the time zone. And I thought maybe 50 or 70 people would show up and I would cook. My father had a restaurant, did catering on the side, so cooking was in the family. When we got to 200 people, I told my secretary, I'll be in the kitchen all week. Thank God there's one lawyer in our show who does Shabbos catering, and we have a professional chef who's a member of the show. And they said, we're coming in to do it. So the 3 of us, we locked the doors in the kitchen, we made everything. And they had to follow my menu, which meant, I told them, no tomato or tomato products. And I had a list of things you may not use, because they weren't at that time. You can't serve soda. The only area which I cheated on was they didn't have dry yeast back then, only wet yeast. And I wasn't gonna start potchking with wet yeast. So everything was, but it was very successful, and the whole programming of the Shabbos, the sermon, the learning, the shir, and the was all from that time period. And since then, I've done some others. So what I did, one of them I did 2 years ago was a Mishnah Shabbos. And I learned over all the Mishnayos of Maser Sheni and Peah and Demai, these, the Mishnayos that don't have sex appeal. But they give you a full list of every fruit and vegetable they had in the Mishnah period. And then I bought a book written by a non-Jewish fellow, paid too much money for it. But it's interesting if you're into it. And I had menus and recipes for the Roman Senate. The idea was that anything they had in days of the Roman Senate was available in the Mishnah. So if you want to know what soup was the most popular soup in the entire Mediterranean area in the days of the Mishnah.
Chicken soup.
Lentil. Lentil soup. So believe it or not, that was the most popular. There's a discussion in the Mishnah whether orez is actually rice or not. Afterwards, after the Gemara, the Rabbanim, the debate, maybe orez is not, when they say orez, it doesn't mean rice. This book says, what's rice doing on the table of a senator from Rome? It says, because Alexander the Great went east, and he brought rice back with him to the entire region. When it says rice in the Mishnah, it means rice. They had rice, even though it was not indigenous. They had lemon juice, but they didn't use it in food. They didn't know how to use it. They used it as mouthwash. So I learned a great deal about the history of food, and I applied it, and we had a great dinner, only items from the Mishnaic period. Why am I onto this here? Olive oil. Originally, they didn't eat olives. You go to Eretz Yisrael, you see an olive growing on the tree. You take it off, make a bracha and eat it. It's the most bitter, foul-tasting thing. You spit it out right away. You know what you have to do to olives to eat it? You have to soak it in brine for God knows how many days in order to make it edible. But olive oil, right away. Squeeze it, olive presses, you know, everywhere in Eretz Yisrael they have olive presses for this. So olive oil was there from the biblical times, but there's no record of eating olives until the Roman period. Now take a look at this tomorrow. If you eat olives frequently, it'll make you forget your learning. But if you drink olive oil, it'll restore it. One is a Roman practice, one is a Jewish practice. If you're going to spend time imitating the Romans and adopting Roman practices, you'll lose your learning. But if you stay with your Jewish practices, then you'll retain your learning. Maybe that's the key to understanding what this is all about. It's not to tell you these things are actually germane to helping your memory or forgetting. No, maybe it has nothing to do with that. Maybe it has to do with doing like the Goyim or doing like the Yidden. No, your practice should be one that helps you. And by the way, I believe that cuisine does. It does do that. When I can eat what my bubby ate, I reflect on Bubby's standards. My Bubby used to make falsha fish, making gefilte fish out of chicken. Really. So, you know something? I would ask her how she did it. She would tell me. When I was growing up, she wouldn't tell us she was making fish or chicken. We get to her. My mother unfortunately died when I was 11, so we ate at Bubby's house every Shabbos. And Friday night, there was gefilte fish, but some weeks it was made out of fish, and some weeks it was made out of chicken, and she wanted to know whether we could tell. So initially, it was hard. Then, when there was one fork, it was chicken. So, as we were getting older and smarter, she realized what was going on. So there was all of a sudden only two. But my father owned a wholesale fish. So I used to call, did Mrs. Bitterman order fish? So I would get to the table and I would smell it. I'd say, Bob, you're losing your touch. It's chicken. You didn't even taste it. I tasted chicken. You're all washed up. You're an old lady. I was such a good British. She never caught on that I was checking with this. You know something? Memories like this. And now, for Rosh Hashanah, because her yard site right before Rosh Hashanah, so I started to make falsha fish. So my father came, all of a sudden, but he used to come every year Rosh Hashanah Kippur, and he would taste the fish. And we'd play a game with our guests. I wouldn't tell them to see how well I got. And he would look to me and say, Bubby would be proud. Do you know how that felt? And my father would tell me, Bubby would be proud. Sometimes even in food, bringing back memories of your childhood. And by the way, I am fully aware, today more than ever, that what I do with my grandchildren, I am creating memories. And don't ever forget that that's part of your role, of creating memories for your grandchildren. And Baruch Hashem, that's part of it. That's part of it. It's part of the Torah environment. It's part of the ambiance that comes with the aroma, that comes with the taste, because we are linked. If you want to know why my show is successful, we keep growing and growing. We're almost 500 families. We came 30 years ago, it was 40, 45 families. The show runs on its stomach. It's part of it. It's part of it. And there are foods and aromas that trigger memory. There was a writer, Primo Levi. Primo, a Holocaust survivor. In origin, he was a chemist before the war. And then he wrote that he has a short story about a country doctor. Oh, I better finish up. A country doctor, and the country doctor is older, he's retiring, and a new young guy has come, and this is in Russia, and the new doctor comes in, and he shows him what he's been working. What do you do in your spare time? You're a country doctor. It's not like in an urban hospital or something like that. So he shows him these vials of aroma. And when you smell it, you'll remember certain things from your, smell this. Oh my God, first grade, when I was in first grade, he's telling us in his science fiction type of writing, says, smells do that. Smells are a trigger of memory. He's so right. So I'm just ending on this note that there are so many features that are geared to reflecting who you are, that we understand that are part of the memory routine. Cherish them. Cherish them when you eat, when you smell, when you do certain things, and that deja vu all over again type thing, you know? It's true. But when you're stimulating your brain, that will activate all memory cells and make it a more beautiful, enriched experience today as it was yesterday, but we build on our past. And this Gemara is telling you, build on your past. Create the Jewish environment. You're not only acting on your own memories, but you're creating memories of the future as well. Thank you very much. Okay, it's yours.
We went back to childhood where we lived together, and we mentioned my father has a grocery store. We knew a lot of people, and I asked her a question: do you know this, this, and this? And she has supposed to answer me, yes, the name and so on. Do you know the dog's name of this? and so maybe we asked the question about an hour, more than an hour, and believe it or not, we didn't make mistakes.
That's it. Once you get started, you stimulate yourself. Yes.
In response to what he just said about the aging process, the whole thing about memory games is that you actually develop new neural pathways. So yes, there is, the thing about aging and death of the cells, unfortunately, you can develop new pathways.
Good. Very good. Yes, ma'am.
My thought are that it's like, your brain is like a computer. What's in there stays in there. But as you get older,
Harder to retrieve.
it is harder to put stuff in. And I remember my mother-in-law, Shalom, was in her 90s, and she would ask the same question every 3 minutes. But when you asked her, where did you grow up? She would not only remember in Bendin in Poland, but the Bendiner Lvov lived there, and he had 12 children, and she knew all their names.
Short-term and long-term memory.
Yes.
Very, very different.
That's why people remember jokes.
That's right. But you should know, like, I'm in public, and I call my wife, anything I get you. And she said, yeah, you know, I need bananas, lettuce, tofu. So what do? I don't write it down. See, bananas, oh, that's BLT. BLT. I can remember BLT. I just have to remember not to get bagel blocks into me. Yes, ma'am.
Say about asking questions. There's a rabbi who went to an old man and he asked,
Can't hear you.
what do you attribute your longevity to? And he said, well, my friends all ask questions.
She was supposed to be first, she's second.
And he asked them all of their questions. I didn't ask questions.
Oh, so that's
Very good. Yes.
One of the things that you did mention that in school, there were so many mnemonic devices. And I think a lot of us also look at, remember all the mnemonic devices that we had in school together. But my feeling is that I know I try and remember things, also going into a room and saying, okay, now I remember. But the point is we have so many things, and I think this whole question of the fact that we all live in a society where we are involved with so many different things, that's a little harder. But I pride myself on the fact that, wait a minute, let me think back. And I think part of it is that when I can't sleep, it's also a question of I'm filling everything and giving everything back, which I think do. My difficulty is I don't remember names. And I'm not ashamed to say I don't remember your name. But the point is that I think basically all of us have to try and not be ashamed of these things and say, okay, let's go back a little bit. And I think this is what's happening to us, that we have to say, okay, back, think about it. And I think when you said false information, I had the very false information. My mother made false information, I haven't had a whole long time. But the point was that this was something that was a part of my family.
Let me just tell you, I'm not going to take it. My father-in-law may be well, may Hashem give him greater strength. Next month in Yom Hashem, he'll turn 99. And he lives with us.
Wait, you're talking about Owen.
Close to 20 years. His wife passed away 5 years ago. And so when he was developing dementia, he has severe dementia today. But I remember when my wife took him to the neurologist, and they have, you know, they have standard questions to ask. Who's the president of the United States? So my father-in-law gave appropriate answers, covering up the fact that he doesn't remember. So, who's the president of the United States? Should I care? you have trouble remembering people's names? His answer was, not if they owe me money. So every answer was appropriate, but he clearly couldn't remember. Okay, okay, go ahead, last one.
I'm going to test your memory now. I met with you about 15 years ago. I know you don't remember me, but I've been in your show a number of times. And when I met with you 15 years ago in your office, you told me you had one of the largest collections of Coke bottles, and you were a Washington Redskin fan.
That's correct, see? That's one thing to remember.
Why?
What? You know something? I hate
have to talk
the
to
owner,
you.
the current owner of the Redskins. He's a real schmo. I don't like the coach of the Redskins, but I do root for the Dolphins. I've become a multi-rooter. I grew up in Washington, D.C., so I'm a fan of the Boston Reds. The truth is, I root for anybody who will beat the Yankees. So I convince myself religiously that the Yankees are all descendants from, hold on.
Mickey Mantle will come. The descendants of that.
Of age, I want to tell you, it really is not. I'm sure that you can remember back when you were a kid, and your mother or father yelled at you at one point or another and said to you, "You forget your head if it wasn't attached to you." You're already, you were told to, right? Birth of joke. There were 3 elderly sisters that lived together, all 3 in their 90s. So the oldest one, Clarissa, she went upstairs to take a bath.
There's a seat in the first row.
And she drew the water, and she put one foot in the bathtub, and then all of a sudden she says, "I don't remember whether I'm going into the bath." So she calls down to her sister, Barbara. So, "Barbara, can you help me out? I'm in limbo here." So Barbara says, "Yeah, I'm coming, I'll help you out." So she goes up the stairs, and halfway up the stairs, she pauses, and she looks down to the younger sister, to Brenda, and says, "Brenda, you know, I don't remember if I'm going up the stairs or if I'm coming down the stairs." So Brenda says, "You know, I hear you both, I'll help you both, because thank God, I don't have that problem. I'll be up in a second as soon as I find out who's knocking on the front door." I am sure that more recently, an experience that we do associate with age, but it's not, is you get up from your chair, you go to the next room to get something. Oh man, you're way ahead of me. You don't know how many heads are going like this. And you get to the next room and you can't remember what you went into. You should know it happens all ages. Teenagers have the same thing. Us probably worse than any other generation. And I mean the time of the 21st century, because we're multi-turn now. We're gonna get through the data, and when we start eating, give it your best shot. Want to hear all the D-rates over, because it gets late, and now we're starting late. It really is late. Okay, take a look at the Tosfot. Hashoneh below Zimra. Shahayu regilim l'shanot hamishnayot b'Zimra. When they learn Mishnah, they learn it with a sing-song. Lefi shahayu shoninot al peh, because they were learned by heart. Va'al yedei kach hayu nizkarim yoter. By virtue of doing it in this fashion, it was easier to remember what you were learning. That's the reason we all did. You weren't reading it when it was. It's a learning niggun. That's all it is, a learning niggun. Which is the same thing that you learn Arba, whatever Mishnah you learn, whatever how the Torah was introduced to you. It was a learning niggun. You were learning the truck. it was done to music and done out loud so you can remember it. These are memory devices. I remember as a little kid that we were being introduced to the subject of arithmetic in elementary school. And I don't know how old I was, but very young. And the teacher wanted to teach us how to remember to spell arithmetic. So she taught us a rat in the house may eat the ice cream. Because the Rosh table, right? The first letter of every word spells arithmetic. A rat in the house may eat the ice cream. Not only did I remember how to spell arithmetic, but here we are 55 years later, I still remember the mnemonic device. That's how effective. We're in the midst of doing so many other things between the phone and maybe what's in the oven and all the other things that are going on at the same time that it happens. So you know what they say? Psychologists write big Kiddush, and by the way, it does work. When you stand up from your chair, say out loud, I'm going to the next room to get a pair of scissors. If you say it out loud, chances are better that you're going to remember when you get to the next room. Now, I realize that that's from a professional. People who deal, psychologists who deal with memory issues. But I'm going to try to show you that Chazal also had all the things, the tricks of the trade, mnemonic devices. Come in a not too distant future, we're going to sit down for the Seder. And at the beginning of the Seder, you start Kadeh Shorchat Karpazia. You know something? That's not part of the Seder. There's no halacha that says you gotta recite Kadeh Shorchat Karpazia. There is no such thing. And in fact, had not some printer put it in the beginning of the Haggadah, you wouldn't have it. You wouldn't even have it. There are 15 steps to the Seder. In order to remember them, they devised a sing-song of Kadeh Shorchat. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's just a memory device to know that's what you're doing. And then they do it to a song. Now the business of the song, this is no, it's not a niggin. It's not part of nusach. It's nothing of the sort. It's a sing-song of learning. Learning has a sing-song. The reason they developed a sing-song was to help us remember. So Kadeh Shorchat, and to sing it, is a memory device that you should know how to proceed in the order it's supposed to be done and to get it done. Now if you take a look at the first item on your sheet, it's the last page of the Gemara in Megillah. Amar Rav Shvatya, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Kol hakorei v'lo ni'ima. If you're reading the Torah, and anybody who reads the Torah without the truf, without singing it properly, v'shoneh v'lo zimra, or he learns without singing the learning, Allah v'katuv omer, v'gam ani natati lehem chukim lo tovim. About that person, we attach the verse that I give you laws that aren't good, because you won't remember them. Now, is it really all that essential that when I learn, I have to sing my learning? You did, again, when we grew up, unlike our grandchildren, when we grew up, you learned how to do Manishtana, Now they come in, Oh my God. Then you should be blessed with a lot of grandchildren. But when all of them get up and do it, why can't they do it a little quicker? Now, we have a rule in our Seder, and I know Baruch Hashem, we have plenty of grandchildren. We have a rule that all divrei Torah are better when accompanying chicken soup. In other words, while we're going through the Seder, no divrei.
Good morning and welcome to Spirit, the stimulating program initiative for retirees that inspires thought. I'm Judy Steinig, Rebbitzin of the Young Israel of Bayside in Queens, New York, and Associate Director, Community Services of the Orthodox Union. It is a pleasure to see all of you here today, many of whom attended our previous program on Tuesday. These programs are sponsored by the Orthodox Union, Congregation Torah Org, and Stage.org. We are proud to offer them these programs in Florida, acknowledging that as people retire, they are looking to nourish their souls and keep themselves energized. That is the goal of the Spirit program, which was so successful in its premiere in Teaneck, New Jersey in the fall, most recently in Boynton Beach, and just 2 days ago here in Boca. We are sure that you will find the sessions today to be interesting, insightful, and meaningful. The Orthodox Union is pleased to partner with Congregation Torah Org and Stage in this venture. We are very appreciative to Rabbi Benjamin Yazger, President Martin Levine, Sisterhood President Lee Greenberg, the board, and the board of the Shul and Sisterhood for hosting this program. Our first speaker is Rabbi Edward Davis, Mar Dasra of the Young Israel Hollywood Fort Lauderdale. Rabbi Davis is a lecturer par excellence who has taught many subjects in numerous venues. A leader in the area of kashrut, Rabbi Davis worked with the Orthodox Union and founded the ORB, Orthodox Rabbinical Board of Broward and Palm Beach counties. I had the recent pleasure to spend Shabbos with Rabbi and Rebbitzin Davis prior to the South Florida Rebbitzin Convention that she and I coordinated this past Sunday. We are truly honored that Rabbi Davis has made time in his extremely busy schedule to speak to us today on memory perspectives in the Torah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You should have a handout, so you don't have to refer to it just yet. Memory issues abound. All of us have them. It's not a matter